Hey everyone! Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a different video. As I mentioned in my last video, I'm making a food blog and I'm kind of in the midst of figuring out how it works and how to get views. And I've learned that it's a lot of work. It's so difficult. I've watched countless videos on how to make a blog that can make money. I've seen so many titles about how I made $30,000 on my blog this month, how I've had 9 different passive streams of income from my blog, and it's all very inspiring, but it's all very daunting at the same time. It makes me feel like maybe I could get there, but also how do I get there? I'm going to talk through about 5 different components on how to start a blog right now and how to do it for as little time and money and stress as possible. Okay, so the first thing that I learned was the importance of getting a self-hosted website. When you see a domain, like the most successful food blog that I love is Half Baked Harvest by Tegan Gerard. So she has halfbakedharvest.com. It's not like halfbakedharvest.wordpress.com or .wix.com. That means it's self-hosted because she owns that domain and that URL, and she's also getting all of the money from her advertising, from her affiliates, and she's not giving any of that money to maybe WordPress or Wix or Blogspot per se. The first thing that you need to do is find a host for your website. The best self-hosting service that you could probably have starting off is called Bluehost, and that's because it's super cheap. It costs just a couple dollars a month and they have really good customer support. I'm talking like I accidentally deleted my whole website one day and I panic chatted them and they had it back up and running in like 10 minutes. So can help you troubleshoot some really scary things, can also tell you how to do certain things, like how do I add this tab to my WordPress? Or if you already have a domain name under a different service and you want to move it over from a WordPress or blog or Wix hosted website and then want to move it onto a self-hosted, I think they can help you make that switch as well. So if you go to bluehost.com, all you need to do is go to this Get Started button, and then it will take you to all of the options available. It's very intuitive, very easy. You can sign up for either 12 months, 24 months, or 36 months. I believe I signed up for the Choice Plus. I don't know if it was $4.95, considering the Plus is $5.95. It was probably like $6 or $7. But I'll check my final statement, and I just paid for 12 months because I just wanted to forget about it. I also wanted to convince myself to lock it in and to do it, and if I did it month to month, maybe I would have given up. So I did check my receipt and my total was $113, which means that the monthly fee at the time was $7.45 for a 12-month contract. So that makes a bit more sense. I think they have a promotion. I also added on some SEO tools, which was that extra $23 in expense. If you're on a budget and you don't want to drop that much money, try the basic and maybe just do the 12-month plan. Still get really good service for that. You do get a free domain name, which is really important. You get the customer service support and you get the custom themes, which I'm going to talk about later. Themes are also really important, but you really can't go wrong with any of these. I just picked the Choice Plus because a lot of bloggers recommended that, because you get unlimited websites, and then you get all these other things like free domain privacy, so it's a little bit more helpful with security and, you know, getting attacks on your site. Once you decide on that, you'll select a plan. And then you can either create a new domain, use a domain you already have, which might be unlikely since we're just starting, or you can create your domain name later. I said I'll create my domain name later, so they gave me some random domain name. However, don't worry, you can pick something else later and purchase that domain name and then slug it under the random one they give you. The only other thing I will say about Bluehost is that a lot of other people recommended that this is an awesome choice if you're just starting. However, if you were to get around 250,000 sessions a month, which is visits on your page, you might want to switch to a more sophisticated host to handle that kind of traffic and make sure that your website isn't super slow. So now I will talk about how to set up a domain name. This is obviously challenging because this is the name that you're gonna blog under and you have to like it. I sat on this for honestly almost a month. Originally wanted Caroline's Kitchen because I had been making YouTube videos under that name and I thought it sounded cute because it's kind of alliteration. But the problem was I found out that it actually wasn't available. So the way that I found out what is available is really easy. You can do it through Bluehost. But you go to your account and then you go to your profile. And then there's all these tabs on the site. My Sites is where you'll access your actual WordPress site. And then you can go down to domains. Okay, as you can see, I have Time with Caroline, I have it parked. Now that means I bought this domain name, this URL. I parked it under my main domain name, which is the one they gave me. And when you park a domain name, it just means that you can have the same site appear exactly the same on all of your parked domains. So if I were to buy another one that was like Rosemary with Caroline, that doesn't sound good, but if you went rosemarywithcaroline.com, the same exact website would pop up. I don't see why people would have multiple ones for brand awareness. I know people sometimes buy multiple sites in case they're like a famous celebrity. If you want like tomcruise.com, tomcruise.net, tomcruise.org, but in this case, I don't really see why we would do that. So that's just a quick explanation. So if you want to find a domain name that you can purchase, you go to add domain here. And then you can literally just type it in and see if someone else already claimed it. So you can see some of the ideas I was going through. Cooking with Caroline, Caroline's Kitchen, Cooking with Caroline, because I was having a hard time. I was like, oh my gosh, Caroline's Kitchen is taken. So I'll just show you that as an example. And obviously no spaces because it's a website. So you hit check, and then you can see taken. And then .net was also taken. Of course I could have taken one of these, but I wanted .com because that's most recognizable and that's probably what you want too. So you're just gonna have to play around and be creative. I checked rhyming dictionaries. It's honestly how I came up with time. I was like thinking of ingredients. I was like, oh, time rhymes with Caroline, and then that turned out kind of cute because it's like kind of a pun. As you can see, the .coms are usually a little bit more money. I believe that I paid $12.99. I don't think that's a lot of money. Actually, some of the ones that are less interesting or like maybe less recognizable are cheaper, like Caroline's Kitchen.site. But I digress. Those are kind of the boring details. Okay, the next thing I'm gonna walk through is how to pick a theme. A theme is basically what your website is going to look like. This is another overwhelming step of the process because this determines the layout of your website and if it's cute and how to make it work and how it's all going to function, which to me is really important. I wanted a pretty site. This took me another few days to decide because I wasn't really sure what I wanted. And you also need to think about what's gonna be the most functional for what you're writing about. Since I'm doing recipes, I really just wanted something that will display the recipes easily, make the photos a huge part of my posts, and then just being able to write a little description of how I came up with the recipe, the ingredients, and so on. There are themes specifically for food bloggers, and it helps you make recipe cards and makes it so the homepage has all the food pictures lined up. So if you are maybe a travel blogger, you're gonna want your posts to look different. Maybe you want the subject line to stand out first, like 10 places to go to under $1,000 for a week. Just kind of depends, obviously, what you're prioritizing. So when you're ready to pick a theme and start designing your actual site, all you need to do is be on your Bluehost page. Your website is going to be hosted in My Sites over here. And then here's my website here. If you had another one, it would be there. But I don't. I have one. So log in. Okay, so this is what my personal WordPress dashboard looks like. But all you need to do is scroll down to Appearance right here, and then Themes. We're going to click on Themes. And then there are a ton of options that you can preview. So there's preview buttons. You can look at what it would look like in a mobile setting, a desktop, or a tablet, I believe, as well. And you can also search for premium themes as well. So as you can see, my theme is called Freja. Not sure how you say that. It's a modern blogging theme that apparently is pretty popular among WordPress users. Probably because it's just really pretty and clean looking, and that's what I really wanted. So I'll give you kind of an idea of what that looks like on my site here. And it was very easy to customize, which was awesome. So it had this really nice feature where it has like a rotary of my top posts, and then you scroll down. I really want the photos to be a focus. So here was my latest recipe, was this cupcake recipe. And then scroll farther down, and then you see the ones following in sequential order of when I posted them. Now there's also really awesome tabs I have on here for recipes. If someone wanted to see all the dinner recipes I've created so far, they would click on my dinner tag, and those would pop up here. Or there's also search bar capabilities as well, where you type in like chicken legs or something, and then my chicken legs recipe would pop up. Back on the themes page, yours will be blank. I actually don't know what all these other ones are. I think there are ones I tried and didn't like. You can go to add new theme, and then the fun part is looking through the hundreds of them. So there are free ones and there are paid ones. I got a paid one. It was about $60. Of course, you don't have to do that. I just really liked that theme and decided to take the plunge. You also don't have to use the ones found on WordPress. There are tons on Etsy and other websites as well that range from like $10 to $100. However, I just wanted to pick one in the WordPress system because you can activate it really fast. You don't have to deal with downloading the theme, integrating it, hoping it works out. I just didn't want to deal with that. So I just went for one of these. The nice thing about this is that you can search and say food, for example. And then these are all of the recommended ones for food. So here's a foodie diary one, here's a food grocery store one, a food business one. Maybe I should be a little bit more specific and say recipes. And then there's plenty of ones for food recipes. I know that some of the popular ones for food recipes are Foodica, and I'll probably tag a few others down below. I can't think of any right now, but you can easily look through these. There's plenty of free ones, and then there's plenty of paid ones as well. It's honestly just your preference. Lots of people use free ones and love it. Okay, the next step I want to talk about is plugins. Plugins are a bunch of different apps that you can add to your WordPress dashboard. There are thousands of these, so it's very confusing to know what the heck you need, what's worth getting, and what's worth maybe not downloading. I have refrained from getting too many because I have heard that it can just slow things down if you have 100 going on in the background of your website. But these are the ones that I would recommend to start with. A lot of these main ones on the screen are included. Like obviously you have a posts plugin, a portfolio for your photos, a media library for your photos, etc. But some of the ones I did added was this Google SiteKit. So I'm going to click on that. Google SiteKit is basically your site overview that's connected to Google Analytics. So if you don't have a Google Analytics like login yet, just go to Google Analytics, search it on Google, and it'll take you to the page where you can log in and hook up your site really easily to it. And then once you download the Google SiteKit plugin, it tells you lots of things about who comes to your site, which I find valuable. So I don't have a lot of traffic yet, I'm not gonna lie, but here you can see that a lot of it is through direct search. So like my mom probably looking up timewithcaroline.com, my friends who know about it, and then I have a link to it on my Instagram, which is predominantly how I'm getting traffic right now. It tells me my impressions every day and how many people are clicking. I can tell you which pages are doing well. So like my chocolate bourbon cupcakes have been doing the best, probably because it's the most recent post. And then it also tells you everything you need to know about your AdSense. This is something that I would recommend setting up pretty quickly as soon as you have published your website to go live for the first time, it can make you some money. It's not going to make you a lot of money, but you can Google will automatically put ads on your site once it deems it, you know, not inappropriate or not spammy. And that way you can start making some change. Obviously the goal is to then partner with an agency, maybe like Mediavine is a really popular one that everybody is striving to in the blogging world, which is, I believe you have to have 50,000 sessions a month, which I'm nowhere near that right now, but that's kind of the dream. If you're wondering how to set up Google AdSense, I might make another video about it. The next one that I want to talk about is Yoast SEO. It's like Toast, but Yoast SEO. Here's what it basically looks like when you look on it. I don't have the premium option. All the plugins I currently have are free. So I've heard that you don't really need the premium version of Yoast. You get a lot of the good perks with the free one. So Yoast is really great because it kind of trains you on how to properly write blog posts. So I'll show you an example of how that looks. So I'm going to posts and I'll show you my most recent one, which was this chocolate cupcake one. So here's what my blog post looks like currently. Yoast is up in the corner here, and you can see that it says my readability analysis is good and my SEO analysis is okay. Now there are some reasons for that why I don't comply to all the rules, but the best part about Yoast is when you scroll all the way to the bottom, you can pick the focus key phrase that you want to focus on. So I picked bourbon cupcakes because bourbon cupcakes is obviously a little bit more niche than the billions of chocolate cupcake recipes. And so I wanted to stand out the most with bourbon cupcakes. Then it can tell you exactly how your post will look like on a Google search. And then you can change your slug, which is basically the tail of the URL for all your blog posts. So originally this said chocolate bourbon cupcakes with cinnamon buttercream. And that's simply too long and can negate from search results. If someone's just looking up bourbon cupcakes, it might get knocked lower down. So you can shorten your slug to just your tag word or your keyword, which would be bourbon cupcakes. And then you can change your meta description, which appears right here. So you want to make sure you use keywords like these bourbon cupcakes only take 1 hour to make. Something cutesy and nice that Google will read and potentially mark higher on Google search results and also informative for the reader. So then below here you can see the SEO analysis of how I scored. It wanted me to say the key phrase more often, change the title of my recipe to a little bit shorter, but I didn't feel like doing that. So obviously take it with a grain of salt. You don't need to follow every single rule, but they're very helpful to tell you like, oh, you didn't include any outbound links, which would help, or you should promote another page from your blog and make sure you hyperlink that in too. So they're just really good reminders, and I've been seeing my traffic increase slowly because of Yoast. Kind of like a really good to-do list when you're making your posts. So I highly recommend Yoast. The last plugin I recommend you start with is called Phoenix Media Rename. I recently discovered this when I realized that a lot of my photos that I had uploaded in the past were not the format that I wanted them to be, even though those blog posts were already live. This plugin is really helpful for that because you can actually change the file name of those uploaded images, because there's no other way to do that on the WordPress site. So the Phoenix Media Rename plugin allows you to change that long chain.jpg on your photos. It might be some random slew of numbers from your photos, or maybe name something kind of stupid. And the point of that is that you need to change all your photo names to be a keyword. So all of those pictures in my bourbon cupcakes title or my bourbon cupcakes blog, all of the JPEG names say like bourbon cupcakes or chocolate bourbon cupcakes or bourbon cupcakes easy or bourbon cupcakes recipe. And that's really important for SEO and for Google to read that and to see how many keywords are in your blog, and then it's reinforcement that this is definitely a recipe about chocolate bourbon cupcakes, and I'm gonna push it higher to the top. When you take a downloaded photo from your computer drive, sometimes it's compressed differently, and my WordPress hates it. I don't know why. Anytime I try to do that, my computer says no thank you. I have to upload it directly from my photos on my phone drive, and you know how there's photos on Macs as well. So I couldn't change the name. So this was kind of a godsend, and I'll show you the only thing it does, but it's really helpful. Well, I'm just gonna show you my library. And as you can see over here in the file name, they're all related to my recipe. So this one's bourbon cupcakes JPEG, bourbon cupcakes recipe, bourbon cupcakes chocolate. The way to do it is you have to actually go to the edit button, and then you can type in the file name. It just has to have dashes in between, no spaces. And then once you do that, you press enter, and then it will show like a little rainbow wheel and check. So I definitely recommend that plugin in case you've started and haven't thought about that like me. One thing I just want to talk about is how exactly to download a new plugin that isn't already on your dashboard, because you're probably wondering, how do I get it? All you need to do is go to this plugins button and go to add new. Now all you need to do is go to the search, and then type in whatever you want. These are random. These are from my actual day job. Please ignore that. So Phoenix Media Rename is one I've already looked up. Okay, great. So this one came up. I hit active, or I hit install now, sorry. And then you hit activate. It'll like go from install now to activate, and you just hit activate. And then it's installed. It's kind of as easy as that. You do the same thing for Yoast here. So it's really easy. There are lots of plugins that aren't part of the WordPress system that other people make that you can download and integrate. And then you could go to upload plugin here, and it's kind of like just uploading a file and hitting activate, so you can do that as well. But for the basics, we'll just stick with that for now. The last thing I want to talk about is getting traffic to your site. Obviously, that's kind of why we're all here. SEO is important, so Yoast is your friend. But also Pinterest. Everybody who's good at blogging, that Pinterest is your friend, and you want to spend a ton of time on that. I have spent a ton of hours learning more about Pinterest, about its algorithm, and I've already been seeing some pretty good results. What I've learned is that followers is nice, but it's also about monthly viewership. So as you can see on my board here, since I've started it, which hasn't been that long ago, I have about 12,000 monthly viewers, which has grown much faster than my Instagram ever could. And I have had a couple of pins kind of, I'm not gonna say go viral, but had like a decent amount of pins and reviews. And then some of them don't get any recognition at all. So it's all like a search game. And Pinterest is exactly that. It's a search engine. It's not really like social media per se, because everybody who is on Pinterest kind of just wants to get noticed, and they want their blog posts and their products to take off. So the first thing that you're gonna do that's not part of WordPress, obviously, but another component that you want to set up very early on in your process is create a Pinterest business account. This is really important because it can show you the analytics to what's going on, which ones are getting the most views and impressions and clicks, and which ones maybe aren't doing so well. So the one thing that you can do really quickly once you set up a Pinterest business account is to then claim your actual website on your Pinterest account, which is basically like verifying yourself and your website. Obviously not to the caliber of Instagram. Don't think of like being Instagram verified, but it does give your page a lot more credibility, a little bit more professional, like you're a real blogger. You can see here, it's got that little check and that little globe, Time with Caroline, it's claimed. So I'm gonna show you how to do that really quickly, because I think this is a nice tip that once you have an account is then go to your settings. So I'm gonna go to my settings, and then you can go to claim, which is right here. So click claim. So I already have Time with Caroline claimed, but we'll pretend. Go to claim, and then you need to add an HTML tag, which is the easiest way to do it. So it's a bunch of codes. You're gonna click to copy it. And then the easiest way to do that is to go on your Yoast plugin. So I went to Yoast, and then you click on social, which is the tab here. And it shows you all of your accounts here that you could do this same process with. And then your Pinterest confirmation goes into this area. You copy and paste it, and then you save your changes. And then you're done. It could take up to 2 days apparently. I think it honestly worked for me within like 15 minutes. So just keep refreshing your page to see if it happened on Pinterest. But that way, that will immediately start directing traffic to your site a little bit faster. Really helps you from the get-go start off your Pinterest journey. Okay guys, I know that was a stinking mouthful, but I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions if you come across this and you want to ask one. This will help you get up and running. So I hope that this helps you take the plunge. It's really fun and you have to be dedicated to it, but I've learned that because it's like your own baby, doing it yourself, I've just felt so proud of how far I've come, even though I haven't been that successful yet, but I'm hoping for that. And I want other people to be successful as well. Let me know if you liked this video, like and subscribe if you want me to do more. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day.